but I think Manny, at this stage, can rise to that challenge and win the fight.
Star.
I would think probably Manny Pacquiao.
He's 46 years old. He's stood toe-to-toe with more world champions than most fighters can even name. And now, with the world watching, with a legacy already carved deep into the history books, Manny Pacquiao is stepping back into the ring, chasing one more night of glory. But not everyone thinks it's a fairy-tale comeback. Because when Bob Arum talks, the boxing world listens. And what he just said about Manny's return has fans split, some fired up with hope, others filled with dread, and a few quietly heartbroken. This isn't just another legend grabbing one last payday. This is the man who defined an era, who walked away after decades of blood, sweat, and brilliance, and now finds himself staring into the eye of the storm one more time. And Bob Arum, Pacquiao's former promoter, the man who helped turn him into a global icon, isn't holding back tonight. We unravel it all. The hype, the heartbreak, and the warning shot from one of boxing's last great voices. Manny Pacquiao's comeback is not a retired legend testing water. If he wins, he will not only become the oldest world champion in world weight, he is living proof that time doesn't always win. This is not about ego or money. It's not an impressive exhibition along the way around the world. Manny enters a real-authored title fight with incumbent WBC champion Mario Barrios, a young and fast fighter who loses nothing and proves everything. And like the hype, the familiar voice is the legendary promoter who shaped the rise of Pacquiao's, breaking the noise of those who saw the weight of those who saw what happens when the size is too far away, without speaking of praise or belief. Because this fight is more than one night in the ring. It is a legacy that makes your head a reality. The challenge to the present is in the past. And when a man warns like Arum, it is because he knows that sometimes glorious hunting can come at a much greater price than the belt. It didn't start with a press conference or some big dramatic announcement. It began with something quieter, something deeply personal. After retiring in 2021, Manny Pacquiao didn't seem like a man at peace with walking away. It was in the way he moved, the way he carried himself, like the ring still whispered to him, like every round he'd ever fought was still echoing in his bones. While the world watched him step into politics and trade gloves for a suit, trying to shape a new kind of legacy for his people, you could still see it. The fighter, the rhythm, the part of him that wasn't finished yet. He kept training in the shadows at first, then harder, sharper, with the focus of someone who wasn't chasing applause, but closure. Not for the fans, not for the critics, but for the warrior inside who never truly left. So when the rumors started swirling in late 2023, they weren't dismissed. They sparked curiosity, the kind that made fans wonder, could this really be happening again? And then came the training footage, lightning-fast footwork, vicious mitt work, a body that looked closer to 35 than 45. Freddie Roach back in his corner. Suddenly, this wasn't nostalgia. It wasn't a sideshow. It was real. A sanctioned war against a live WBC world champion. And now, with the countdown ticking and the world watching, Bob Arum, who's seen what happens when legends push too far, knows this isn't just a return. It's the final act of a fighter who still has something to prove.
Make a page. Make my down and miss, and there was no reaction after that.
Mario Barrios isn't some warm-up act or hand-picked opponent meant to make a legend shine. He's the real deal. A dangerous, disciplined, battle-tested WBC welterweight champion who knows how to take pressure, absorb punishment, and give it right back with the kind of sharp precision that comes from youth, hunger, and a wave of momentum at his back. He's not just younger than Pacquiao. He's part of a new era, one that grew up watching Manny, studying him, admiring him, and now, stepping into the ring not to learn, but to possibly retire the legend for good. Barrios isn't built like the fighters Pacquiao used to dominate a decade ago. He's long, tactical, deceptively powerful, and trained in a data-driven era where every move is calculated. And while he doesn't have Manny's legendary resume, what he does have is youth, energy, and the fire of a man who knows that beating a name like Pacquiao could change everything. To some, Barrios might look like the safer option for Manny's return, but that idea misses the whole point. Because when you're 45, stepping back into the fire after years away, chasing glory one last time, there's no such thing as a safe fight. Not anymore.
Up in that age, you can't keep taking punches to the head without it affecting you as you get older. I mean, I really worried as far as Manny is concerned.
Bob Arum has seen everything this sport has to offer. Wars in the ring, legends rise and fall, kings stripped of their crowns in the blink of a round. And when he speaks about Manny Pacquiao, it's not from the cold distance of a promoter or man chasing headlines. It's deeper than that. It's personal. Arum was there when the myth of Pacquiao was being written, traveling the world with him, sitting ringside through brutal wars and unforgettable triumphs, watching a young fighter grow into a global icon. So when Arum finally spoke out about Manny's return, his words weren't sharp or dismissive. They carried the weight of someone who knows exactly what this comeback could become. There was admiration, yes, but concern, too. The kind that feels like a father watching his grown son walk into something he may not come out of the same. Arum said he hopes Pacquiao does well, that he wishes him luck. But beneath those well wishes, inside is heard something else. A quiet alarm from a man who's seen what happens when heart says go, but the body starts whispering no. He acknowledged Manny still looks good on the pads, still fast, still sharp in the gym, but reminded everyone that sparring isn't combat. Training clips don't throw punches back. The ring under the lights is a different world. And when the crowd roars and the fists fly with bad intentions, there's no muscle memory that can rewind the clock. Arum brushed off the Amir Khan rumors and pointed to the truth. This Barrios fight is what's real, and it's dangerous. In doing so, he drew a line between fantasy and reality, between media buzz and what actually happens when the gloves are laced up. He's seen too many legends take that one extra fight. Seen reflexes fade just enough to cost someone their legacy, or worse. Arum isn't questioning Pacquiao's heart. He never would. What he questions is the necessity, the reason, the wisdom in risking everything when the margin for error has vanished. And maybe most telling of all, he didn't say don't do it, because he knows many wouldn't listen. But by stepping forward now, with both support and concern in his voice, Arum gave the world something even more powerful than a warning. He gave it a mirror. One that shows not just a warrior chasing glory, but a sport that still doesn't know how to let its legends go before they get hurt. And in that mirror, Arum doesn't just see Pacquiao. He sees history, quietly preparing to repeat itself.
Manny, at this stage, can rise to that challenge and win the fight. I think he has.
Every comeback has a price, but when it's someone like Manny Pacquiao, a man who's already climbed every mountain in the sport, the question isn't just can he win again, it's should he even try. Because the stakes go beyond titles or belts. They're about legacy, about risk, about how this story ends. Pacquiao's not 25 anymore. His hands might still be fast, his instincts still sharp, but there's a big difference between training for a fight and surviving one. Especially when you're facing a hungry, world-class champion who's coming to take your head off. If Manny wins, it's monumental. A 46-year-old, 8-division legend walking back into the fire and beating a reigning WBC champion, that would instantly put him in the same breath as George Foreman and Bernard Hopkins, icons whose final acts became their most unforgettable. But if he loses, badly, violently, cleanly, it could stain everything he's built. Not just a loss on paper, but a crack in the armor of a legend. One that forces fans and critics to ask why a man who had nothing left to prove risked it all for one more moment under the lights. Bob Arum knows this crossroads all too well. He's seen fighters win that last war and become immortal, and has seen them carried out, dazed, broken, their greatness dimmed forever. That's the risk Pacquiao now faces. Not just defeat, but the kind that rewrites an ending. That turns a farewell into a warning. Because in boxing, legacy is fragile. You can build it over decades and lose it in a single round. And yet, that's exactly the kind of danger that calls a warrior like Manny back. Because for him, greatness isn't found in comfort. It's in daring to stand at the edge and dance there.
Just any advice from him at all? Just be healthy and do what you can. It's a hard thing to do.
The debate is burning hot. Some are celebrating the return of a legend. Others are bracing for history to repeat itself, pointing to the long list of icons who tried to outrun time and couldn't. And now, with Bob Arum stepping into the conversation.
Absolutely. He's a legend, you know. He's a legend. I think he can do it. Absolutely. I mean, it's not going to be easy.
With the fight now locked in for July 19th in Las Vegas, the countdown is officially on, not just for another night on the boxing calendar, but for a moment that feels larger than titles, rankings, or prize money. This is Manny Pacquiao stepping back under the lights, into the pressure, and toward a future that could either deepen his legendary status or shake it loose before millions of eyes. The build-up already carries the familiar rhythms, training clips from Wild Card Gym, slow-motion pad work with Freddie Roach, sparring footage where younger fighters try to keep up with his footwork, and media bites that fuel the growing storm. But beneath all of it, there's a different kind of tension. This isn't the fearless young Pacquiao sprinting to the ring with nothing to lose. This feels like a story coming full circle, like echoes of the energy he carried into the De La Hoya fight, or the urgency he showed before taking on Thurman. Except now, there's the weight of time behind him, and the sharp gaze of a sport watching closely, hunting for either a flash of brilliance or a glimpse of decline. This isn't just a fight, it's a statement, a flashpoint, a test of what boxing still grants its legends, and what it quietly takes from those who refuse to fade away. Manny Pacquiao stepping into the spotlight at 46 isn't just about proving he can still move, still punch, still win. It's about pushing the boundaries of what greatness means. It's about asking if true legends can defy time, or if chasing that kind of magic eventually comes at a price even they can't afford. Because if Pacquiao pulls this off, if he walks back into that ring after nearly 4 years away and beats a reigning world champion, it sends a message far beyond the ropes. It tells every fighter watching that age isn't a fixed rule, that hunger doesn't have an expiration date, that maybe, just maybe, greatness can be stretched a little further than we thought. But if it goes the other way, if the risk overshadows the reward, if the ending is brutal, then this fight becomes something else, a warning. A harsh reminder that boxing doesn't protect legacies with silk gloves. It demands everything, even from those who've already given it all. And what happens on July 19th won't just decide one man's fate. It will ripple outward into future comebacks.
Furious assault.
So here we are, less than a month out from what might become one of the most unforgettable, unpredictable nights in modern boxing. Or will it be a sobering reminder of how cruel time can be, and how knowing when to walk away is sometimes the hardest part of being great? Either way, the clock is ticking, the stage is set, and when the bell rings, history won't just be watching, it'll be stepping back into the ring. Hit subscribe, drop your predictions in the comments, and stay locked in. We'll be here to break down every moment of the legend's return.